These killings of Northerners and the deriding of the North have aggravated and amplified the national question. If Northerners are still citizens of the Nigerian state, then they must be accorded the rights and privileges of citizens in any part of the Nigerian Federation. If, however, the Nigerian state is not willing or ready to accord Northerners their rights and privileges as citizens, then Northerners will have no option, will have no obligation towards the Nigerian state. The Nigerian state, like any modern state, is sustained by the social contract, like as John Locke's theory of social contract says, and I quote, that the obligation to obey civil government under the social contract was conditional upon the protection of the natural rights of each person, unquote. So if the state should fail, we have no obligation to obey or even continue the union. The North has continued to make sacrifices to keep the union. It looks like it is time to throw in the towel. While we still appeal to our youth for restraint, this time we shall keep our fingers crossed. We are here to tell Nigerians that this incident is one too many and will no longer be tolerated. We are speaking after due consultations with the Northern Elders Forum and the Arewa Consultative Forum and some Northern professionals, and precisely because we have restrained our youth from reacting and retaliating.
You are once more welcome. This is a press briefing by concerned Northerners who, after observing the trend of event nationally as it affects our collective existence as a country, we decided to come together. The feeling, the aspiration, and the thinking of the people of the 19 northern states as we view it. The text is going to be read by our mother, Hajia Najatu Mohammed. Hajia, Bismillah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is a press conference organized by concerned Northerners. The nation woke up on the 28th of March to the horrifying news of a gruesome massacre in which about 16 people from northern part of the country were massacred in a very savagery manner that is reminiscent to the barbarism of the old Roman Empire. We have noted that since the event, leaders have issued the usual condemnation, and security agencies have announced the commencement of investigations, and community leaders have risen up to speak on the atrocity. But even as this was happening, some reckless parochial local champions have continued to insult the North and deride its people, fabricating lies and spreading mischief on the incidents. This is a very familiar scene in the last 2 decades. We are here to tell Nigerians that this incident is one too many and will no longer be tolerated. We are speaking after due consultations with the Northern Elders Forum and the Arewa Consultative Forum and some Northern professionals, and precisely because we have restrained our youth from reacting and retaliating. For the records, this is not the first time that Northerners have been targeted and killed under several guises and excuses. We recall the event of March 2016, where at the Mile 12 crisis, where Northerners were killed. In the same 2016, another massacre of innocent Hausa traders and settlers in Port Harcourt were killed. In December 2019, in Akure Market, is the Akure Market killing, where Northerners were killed. In Oyo State, at the Iganga killings in June 2021, where Northerners were killed and their properties were destroyed. In April 2021, in Imo State, dozens of northern traders and cattle herders were slaughtered in cold blood by some armed bandits. In all of these incidences, the North restrained itself, even as they are far more larger in population than Southerners. In all these incidences, the North restrained itself, even as they are far more larger populations of these Southerners enjoying in the North. They are growing their businesses, making money off Northerners, all without any form of harassment. The North is not stupid. We can no longer allow a situation where our people are hunted down like game, while the same tribes are welcomed in the North, enjoying hospitality and making money off Northerners. This government and the ones it succeeded have also shown that they neither have the will or the capacity to deal with the threats to human life in Nigeria. The country has become a killing zone as they sit there and supervise the sharing of national resources meant to provide for the welfare and security of our citizens. As a result, citizens daily face precarious hazards as they work hard just to eke a living. In other words, our governments are in the habit of ignoring their constitutional duties and taking care of themselves and their fantasies, while citizens who voted for them in the first place rot away in penury and anguish as if they have no conscience at all. This is, to say the least, is a political blasphemy, and it has its consequences. As certain as death, it will come when it will come. We therefore need to remind this government that in the hierarchy of human needs, human life comes first. They have sworn to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which categorically and explicitly stated that the purpose of governance is the welfare and security of its citizens. We need to remind this government that they are here basking in power courtesy of the votes from the North. We need to remind this government and its security agencies that their excuses for their failure to secure this country has long been unattainable, and citizens will not continue to take these excuses kindly. Finally, these killings of Northerners and the deriding of the North have aggravated and amplified the national question. If Northerners are still citizens of the Nigerian state, then they must be accorded the rights and privileges of citizens in any part of the Nigerian Federation. If, however, the Nigerian state is not willing or ready to accord Northerners their rights and privileges as citizens, then Northerners will have no option, will have no obligation towards the Nigerian state. The Nigerian state, like any modern state, is sustained by the social contract, like as John Locke's theory of social contract says, and I quote, that held that the obligation to obey civil government under the social contract was conditional upon the protection of the natural rights of each person, unquote. So if the state should fail, we have no obligation to obey or even continue the union. The North has continued to make sacrifices to keep the union. It looks like it is time to throw in the towel. While we still appeal to our youth for restraint, this time we shall keep our fingers crossed and mount a sentinel to monitor the investigation promised and the prosecution of those arrested and the payment of the compensation to the families of those who lost their lives, because the people they elected failed to live up to the oath of office to the tenets of the Constitution. Thank you.
Internal crisis from the North here has led to we Northerners, I'm also from the North, being disrespected over there. Our activities, how we go about them, we see in Zamfara, for example, Muslim versus Muslims, Fulanis versus Hausas, Fulanis versus Fulanis, Hausas versus Hausas, the kidnapping, the senseless killings. We see what happened in Jos, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, in Plateau State, where about 11 people were killed. We also saw the example of, let's say, what happened to Deborah, which has caused a lot of reactions on the way Deborah died. So how do we get to address these issues? Can you come together and do something more elaborate on this, on the internal crisis we have in the North in the first place? Before we think of, we understand that the national level is there, the government has to do something because they are the government. It's their sole responsibility to protect the people, to make sure that this does not happen again. But how do we address that of the internal crisis we have in this again? Thank you.
Your name and address.
Your name,
please.
My name is Ivan Magoni. I work with God Africa team.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think you raised a very germane and a fundamental issue. But let me enlighten you that the group of concerned Northerners had been involved in stimulating conversation in the North as to how to deal with a plethora of these challenges. And this effort indeed yielded positive results when the Northern governors and the traditional rulers met in Kaduna and took far-reaching decisions as to how to deal with these issues. But don't forget that national security lies within the constitutional purview of the national government. Therefore, all subnational efforts mobilized to deal with this issue goes to nothing if there is no refined cooperation flowing from the federal government to complement this. And this is where the 19 northern states today face as challenges.
And FCT.
And yes, and FCT face as challenges. You made references to some of the horrific killings that are ongoing or took place within the North, which as a people, as at when they happen, we came out, we condemn. Not only condemning, we have also taken steps to ensure that we deal with the issue of the infiltration of northern community by sponsoring political disagreement and sometimes religious disagreement just to sustain this narrative that, oh, it's not well with the North, and so the North should not complain about what is happening. And this is why we are here today, to make a categorical statement that when you sight a snake in your house and suddenly the snake disappears, you are not going to embark on massive destruction of the house because you want to find the snake. You will have to be calm to create a decoy of a peaceful environment for the snake to emerge so that you can deal with it. That is not to say when an arsonist approaches your house with a gallon of petrol, you will pretend that you are dealing with the snake question, and so your house will be set ablaze. So the North with what has happened in Edo, we have made references to these killings, and to us in the North is already a pattern. And that's why we conclude by saying that all these sum up together raise the fundamental national question, which we have put it now at the doorstep of the federal government to consider it. Well, what I have basically put across is that we are appealing to the youth, the restive youth in the North, who by virtue of what has happened in Uromi are calling for reprisal. And I stated that the mere fact that all of us seated here are supposed to be in our comfort zone celebrating Salah with our families, but we are here gathered in Abuja, convey how we appreciate how serious this issue is. And we're saying that this is not just mere normal press briefing. We're going to back up whatever we have stated here with action. We're going to deliver a letter thereafter to the Edo State Government Lodge to be conveyed to the governor about what we expect of this situation. A very transparent investigation. The suspect should be paraded, because the suspect had also identified themselves by the videos they produced and sent online. So they are known. We're saying that this transparent investigation will lead to accountability, and that in the final analysis, Edo State government will have to pay compensation for the lives of these 16 innocent people that died in transit. And we are saying that our people should consider what has happened as a challenge to our faith and of the citizens of the North everywhere. Finally, we are also calling on the federal government that as long as they will try to resolve this national question, they should guarantee the safety of lives of Northerners living anywhere in the country, while we appeal to our people to continue to demonstrate this hospitality of living peacefully with everybody in the North.